It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Hey everyone, it's the Mimi and Weezy show. How's it going?
So for our viewers, we had this idea that I say viewers, but like we don't have videos. So for our listeners, we are coming out with videos. We got a TikTok started and stuff. We just haven't posted. Anyways, we came up with this idea that we should cover, since we did so many conspiracy theories last season, we were thinking that this season we'll do some more like crime stuff. So we want to cover some suspicious celebrity deaths this season.
Ooh.
Dun, 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 you know, like some scary stuff. I want to start with the beloved Paul Walker because, yeah, it was a car accident, okay? But
was it? No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
but was it is the question. So this is like kind of out there, but, well, flashback, November 30th, 2013. Paul Walker gets in a car accident and dies. And it was all over the news because they were in the middle of filming Fast and Furious 7, I believe it was. And we all know I'm a big fan of the Fast saga. He dies in the middle of making it. So he's actually in half of the movie. And then the other half is just like CGI. And then his brother, who looks weirdly similar for being like different ages. They're not twins. It's weird. He kind of went in and they like used him and then CGI'd him to look like Brian. I don't know. It was weird. Anyways, so they were at this charity event. It was a car show event type of thing. And there obviously was a ton of freaking cool, fast cars, right? So one of the cars, which was that Porsche, what was it, like a Carrera
Porsche Carrera
something?
GT?
Yeah. So it was a red one. A witness there, a friend of Paul Walker's who was hanging out with them and talking to them, had said that like the car itself was having issues and it was stalling a lot and whatnot, and so that him and Roger, I'm not sure how to say his last name, Rodas, something like that. They were like,
and also bulb tires in the back.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, so he said that like the car had been stalling and they were obviously unaware of why. They were just like, what the hell's going on with this car? So Paul and Roger were like, let's take it for a test drive and see if we can figure out what's wrong with it, which any car guy would do, right? Normal, everyday car guy thing to do. So they like could go out for this test drive, and then apparently like within a couple of minutes, someone ran back into the charity event, was screaming like, there's been a wreck, and so like all the people and like friends and stuff, they ran outside and they like ran down the street or whatever, because it was only like, it was very close to the place where they were doing the thing. It wasn't like they had driven 20 miles away. They were still like in the vicinity.
It was around
like,
the corner, dude. Because
like
they just say the event center was like in the middle. It was like a circle around, like half a circle around. Yeah,
it was just like right around the block. So people could, like, you could see the smoke, I guess, when you came out of the building. So they ran over there, and that's when they realized it was the GT. And so they just come outside and they're like, what the hell happened? Whatever. And then the newspapers just took it to the extremes, you know, saying like race cars kill people, and they were going fast and like live by the speed, die by the speed, like type of thing. So they were just going nuts on it and saying that like they were racing and like all this stuff, right? And that like because of his movies and stuff, he got like a really bad, you know, the media was taking it as like, oh, he was just driving fast and being reckless. Well, Paul Walker wasn't even the one driving. He was in the passenger seat. It was actually Roger that was driving. And
his chauffeur, basically.
Yeah, his buddy, like they were good friends, you know. And they were both car dudes. Like,
they were on the same. Sorry. They were on the same like sponsored team.
Yeah, and so I mean, they were good buds. They were both trained drivers. They were both car dudes. They're not just like.
They're people that can drive these cars and they won't have an issue.
Exactly. So. I mean, there's accidents. Accidents happen. Anyone can get in an accident, you know. But like they were in not a residential area, but an area where the speed limit's 45 miles an hour. And of course, like I'll tell you, if I got to test drive that car, I would have probably sped up a little bit, you know. And I would have been like, oh, call me DK, like call me Drift King. Like I would have been all excited. You already know. I think anyone would. So anyways, they say that like they're going 100 miles per hour lose control of the car somehow, hit a tree, and it hit driver's side first, hit the tree apparently, and then it spun the car, and then Paul Walker's side, the passenger side, hit another tree, and then within 60 seconds, the car was on fire. And so that's what happened, right? The video footage of this accident, I don't know if you've seen it, but it is weird because you cannot actually see the car hit anything. The only security cameras that caught it, it's in a blind spot. So the only security cameras that caught it are like behind walls, and all it catches is like you can see, because I mean the Porsche is really low to the ground.
I think I did see that like I saw a circle and then you just see parts flying. You don't even see the car.
You don't even see the car hit. No, so you can't see if there's other cars because it's behind a wall. So all you see is like the trees falling from like where they hit, and then you just see flames and like smoke. That's it. So you don't.
So is that the conspiracy theory around that
no.
in that blind spot someone hit him or what?
Yeah, well, so that's what you would assume, right? So then there was an eyewitness who said that there was a second car and that they were like drag racing or doing some type of, behavior to mimic drag racing. So someone said that they saw a second car like next to them. No one ever said that they saw them get run off the road, but like you never know, right? They're in a blind spot, which is sketchy because you're in California. You don't have that many blind spots in areas, like there's street cams and security cams everywhere. So anyway, so they get in this accident and everyone gets them, whatever. So his daughter, Meadow Walker, ends up like 2 years later suing Porsche for the accident, saying it's their fault because there wasn't like you said, there were safety features. So like she said the seatbelt malfunctioned because Paul Walker survived the initial impact of the accident because it shows that he was still breathing after like the flames and the fire because he had like soot and stuff like in his esophagus and lungs. So
what you're telling me is that he was after the crash. And
he was alive and he was trapped in there.
He was alive, and then like the car turned on fire and he was still alive. So he burned alive, is what you're telling me?
Yeah. So not only was it just the impact of the accident, but he
burned
alive.
Crispy Walker at that point, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right. Crispy Walker, you're stupid. But yeah, so that happened. And so his daughter ends up suing Porsche. Here's where stuff starts to get even worse, okay? So this isn't even the conspiracy. This isn't even how he died, right? This is just what happened with his family afterwards.
This is after, no?
This is after he died. This is 2 years after, actually. So
okay. Let's go.
Paul Walker dies in the accident. And then, like I said, Meadow Walker filed a wrongful death suit, is what it's called. I could not think of it, so I had to look it up, against Porsche, claiming that, that they took basically like shortcuts in their production, making it so that her dad died. So this lawsuit actually got like settled. So Porsche paid her money, but the suit is sealed. So we don't know how much money they settled for. They don't know why they settled, anything else. But they did end up settling with her. But then they like closed the whole thing so that we can't even find the information.
What was it? Those non-negotiable agreements everywhere? NDAs?
Or the NDAs. So yeah, non-disclosures. So like it's sealed. The court record is sealed, so you can't even see anything. Well, anyways, so then a couple weeks later, I don't remember the date, but a little while after Paul Walker dies and Roger, it comes out that says, so back in Haiti when all that stuff happened, it was an earthquake, right? The Paul Walker had a charity foundation. He was out there helping like rebuild stuff and bring food, blah blah blah. So
actually, I know something on that, Miranda. He was the first one to like, how do I say, like even before like the United States or even before anyone else like decided to help, he was the first one like let's start a foundation, let's fucking send help now, and then that they were the first ones there. Like
yeah. So not only was Paul Walker there, but the Clinton Foundation was doing a charity thing there. So this is where things get weird, right? Because he was working alongside the Clintons to help rebuild, supply food, medication, blah, blah, blah. So it is said, I don't know by who, but that Paul Walker actually found evidence connecting the Clinton Foundation, that they were drugging like the people of Haiti, and they were doing it by like putting medication in their food and medical supplies and stuff, and like actually drugging them. I only was able to find one thing that said like what they were drugging them with. I don't know how accurate this is, because it was just some everyday. This part could be totally made up, but you can find all the other stuff about him like finding evidence. But it says that he found evidence that they were drugging people, and not only it wasn't just like he was roofing them or they were roofing them. It says that they were putting like forms of like permanent like birth control and like crazy things like that to like control, population and like
it's just math.
yeah, who knows, right? But so he found evidence, and before they passed away, both of them, it says that someone, see, there's no names, so this is why I can't corroborate the story because it's all confidential and
It's
stuff.
all basically speculation.
Yeah, it's just like it could be completely made up. But the rumor about like having found something that the Clintons did was everywhere afterwards. Like what he found, that's probably what's made up, what I could find on the internet. But it also says that like a couple days, maybe a couple weeks before he passed away, someone had gotten a recording of the Clintons and people who knew stuff about them, that like when Paul Walker testified against them, if he showed this recording, it would have like exposed them. And so they found out about the recording. And
so
then
my boy Paul Walker got Avicii'd, bro? Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. So like he literally finds this evidence against the Clintons, is gonna go after them because they spent all this time in Haiti, and he found out that they were doing some sketch shit, right? And then he's like, I'm gonna do this, like I'm gonna bury them, like we're going to court, we're doing it. Boom, dead. Weird.
It's like similar to like finding the cartel like randomly in Haiti too. You'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I mean, because the Clintons, so it says Walker, when he originally like founded his nonprofit, it was called Reach Out Worldwide. It was like a relief team to go to the earthquake sites and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So while he was out there, he saw like a need to get like more skilled personnel and like famous people, so that like it would help bring more like first responders and stuff to the area. And so that's why the Clintons ended up like being like, oh well, we'll help because it looks good on them to come out there and help. And then boop, dead.
Boop, dead.
Honestly, it seems pretty sus to me.
Yeah, it's like it's like a, how do I say, like it seems like it's just a repeating story. Like it's something, they find something out about like some high profile person, like a week or two later they end up dead.
Yep, exactly. It's always that, dude. And then back to like the lawsuit too with Meadow Walker. So not only did she sue them for like the seatbelt issue, but she also said that like that model of the Porsche was like known for its stability issues on the road and stuff, and that like a lot of famous like race car drivers and stuff even say like that's a hard car to handle, like it's not the easiest.
And then another thing, like they also like they throw into factor there, like with the Paul Walker thing, is that the day before it had rained, and they said that the roads were still kind of like a little moist.
Yeah.
And so, like, remember I was telling you that they had bald tires? Well, the thing is that, that car didn't belong to Paul Walker. It belonged to, was it that one guy you're saying?
I don't know who it belonged to, because it was at a charity event, right? Or did it belong to Roger?
No, it belonged to Roger.
The guy who was driving?
The guy who was driving, yeah.
Okay.
And they just said that, like all supercars, they probably, they don't drive them like how, let's say, like how me and you would drive it, right? They push it to the limit. Mm-hmm. So let's just say the tires were already, they had never been replaced. That's what they said, too.
Yeah,
so imagine it was some bald ass tires.
Too. Yeah,
some bald ass tires driving 100 miles an hour, taking a turn.
Well, and then, so after all of that, she does this lawsuit against Porsche. Initially, though, Porsche comes out and says, okay, like this isn't word for word, but they said, well, Paul Walker knew the dangers of like getting into this car and driving it, so Because everyone's like, oh, he's a race car driver. He would never drive dangerously, like blah blah blah. And so then Porsche's like, oh, well, you just said like he's a race car driver, but so he knew the risk of driving this car at those speeds and like taking it on this road, blah blah blah. But eventually they settled. But the details of that settlement, like I said, they're not released, so we have no idea why they settled, which is a little sus.
How many millions do you think they give Paul Walker's daughter, bro?
Well, so here's the thing. They gave her millions, I'm sure. But then Meadow Walker, the daughter, so the guy, Roger, the guy that was driving, so her lawyer also like got money from that dude's estate because he was driving. So they went after the guy who was driving's like estate too. So she got $10.1 million from Roger's estate in 2015. And his lawyer said through his estate, the driver of the car took partial responsibility for the crash and then gave Meadow Walker $10.1 million just for the crash. And then they said, so he wasn't, I got the autopsy details if you want. I'm going to read them anyways. I was going to say if you want, but I'm just going to do it. So it says that he was alive for at least 20 seconds before the fire erupted. Because that's about how long it took in the video footage for like the flames to start coming over.
Yeah.
So he was alive at least for like 20 seconds afterwards. So the autopsy said the coroner listed the cause of death as the combined effects of traumatic and thermal injuries, which is the fire. It said that his body was burned so badly by the time they like got the fire out that you could like not identify it. It was like unidentifiable basically.
And some broccoli. I mean, a charred
the injuries that he sustained, like in the accident itself, like he had a broken jaw, a collarbone, his left arm was broken, things like that, but no life-threatening, like he wasn't, his heart wasn't punctured, like his neck wasn't snapped, nothing like that. So he probably would have survived had the car not lit on fire. So then I found this other thing that showed that Porsche had like fuel lines on there that like don't like disconnect. Like today's cars, they have some different kind of fuel lines so that when you get in an accident, it's supposed to make it so it's way less likely to like burst into flames,
Yeah.
And the Porsche that he was in did not have that safety precaution, so that's one of the reasons that she also went after them. There was no alcohol or drugs in either of their systems, which is good. But if you have time to look up like the videos on the actual accident, you will not find one of the accident happening itself. Like there's people who were driving past right after who were able to get like video footage of, right when it happened and right when it started on fire. But there was no one there for the actual accident itself that caught it on tape, or none of the security cameras. Like that's sus, right? And then all this stuff comes out after.
So weird.
So
it just makes you think like he was set up or something.
Yes, it's weird to me because
it's like we said, he discovered something. They had to take him out one way or another.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's all kinds of if you looked into conspiracy wise, the Clintons themselves have a pretty high body count as far as murder goes. So I don't know. It's sus to me, dude. Sus to me.
Yeah, for sure. Dude. Since we're on that case, on weird deaths, you know who also had a weird death is Whitney Houston.
Whitney.
Yeah.
So I know like my dad and my stepmom were big fans of Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston, I would say she's like the Michael Jackson of the female singer world.
Yeah.
She was that big.
No, everyone loved her.
And then like, how do I say, even now to this day, there isn't a single person that like hasn't heard a Whitney Houston song. Like even if you don't know that, like there's a bunch of remixes, right, or what you hear on commercials nowadays. But I guarantee you've heard at least one of her songs.
Everyone has, because they used to have it. Yeah. They used to have them in commercials, like you said, and they still do. Everyone has. Like, if you haven't, then like I don't know. That would be weird. I don't even know. That would be weird if you hadn't.
Okay, so let me just tell you, like, she was signed on like real early, like in her life, like at like the age of 19, 18. And then right off the bat, she just busted out 2 albums that like shot her up. I think one was like called Angel, and then another one, I didn't write it down, but the like back to back, those two, like, she was just an instant star. There was
Yeah.
people that like when they knew her when she was younger, and they said, "Oh, that girl's gonna be famous," like, shit like that. She had that charisma. Okay, so like, since she was like a famous, like, how do I say, pop singer, right? That's what she is.
I guess.
Pop, hip hop, jazz. I
Yeah.
don't know. She's
Or
just
I
got a
don't even know what
beautiful
to call her.
voice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you meet people. She met another famous like singer. The person she would go on to marry, her husband Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Which they had one kid. They had a daughter, but Bobby Brown is attributed for basically all of her drug use. Like, he's the one that brought the drugs to her and all this shit. There's interviews saying like him saying like, well, if I hadn't met her, she'd probably be still alive.
Yeah.
Because Whitney Houston was a hardcore like drug addict, but they kept it under the radar. Like, you couldn't tell unless you really knew her.
Well, that's like, I feel like the same thing with a lot of famous people too, is like they're addicts really bad, and then you never know until they die.
Okay, so let me tell you just something that like just something that makes Whitney Houston like so big. She's the first female artist to have 10 like consecutive songs hit like #1 in the top 100 like billboards, like back to back every year for 10 years straight.
Okay.
Like I was saying, like, not even Michael Jackson has that much music that much songs that topped.
Yeah.
And with all that fame and all that comes with like a
lot of stress,
bad
dude.
stuff, a lot of stress, and a lot of bad stuff. Her manager is also attributed for her drug use apart from her husband, and basically everything that essentially happened to her. Her manager was Clive Davis. He's the one that basically signed her after her 2 albums blew up.
Okay.
And they say like the relationship they had was like father and daughter, but when you start to like look into the videos, when you start to really learn like what was
what she was doing,
what was she like, it was more like a sugar daddy type of deal.
Okay.
Like, she would go to them like, oh, perform at these places, you get this money, and then also like, here's these drugs.
Dude, that's the hard part about being famous. I feel like everyone just like gets supplied with drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, anywhere you go in Hollywood, I feel like that's just what they're all doing all the time.
And then so then we're gonna go. I'm gonna tell you like the night she died. It was like a couple days before the Grammys, like a day or two. Mm-hmm. She was actually supposed to perform at Clive Davis's a pre-Grammy birthday party like thing.
Okay.
And let's just say it was like an afternoon. She literally had just gotten in the shower. At this point, like in her career, she was already like a hardcore drug user. Like, you could tell like on her face, her skin, like she was already like withering away from how much drugs she was using. And the bodyguards and stuff, the managers, the people that would like handle her, said that she could only be herself when she was in the shower, so they would leave her alone when she would shower. Yeah. So on this night, they left her, like, she got to showers, they started this, and then an hour later, like, the bodyguard or whatever, he started knocking on our door, like, Miss Houston, are you okay? Like, like knocking, and then no sound, no nothing. So the security guard calls the manager, like, what do I do? Like, bust her door, get her out of there, like, react, right? So they get her out of there, and then, or they open the door, and they find her like in the bathtub, like drowned already. She already passed away.
She was dead, right?
She was dead, yes. And what's it called? they just thought they everyone just assumed she died, just drug overdose. She was a drug addict. She drowned in the shower. Like that's nothing crazy, right?
Yeah.
That's what the normal thing, like she just drowned because she like the cold water hit her and she like went into shock, and then that's what the media says.
Yeah.
But when they did the autopsy on her, they found physical like bruising outside her body, but it was never brought up, like how do I say, the coroner's office, those people that investigated her body, they never brought it up to like saying like, oh, that probably was killed her, not the drowning. And see, that's the weird thing, like she drowned out of nowhere, like they're just saying like
in the
she's
bathtub.
just a druggie in a bathtub. See that, like for me, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit.
I mean, like the only time you would like drown in a bathtub is really like if you completely were unconscious and like sunk under the water. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
So I just looked up like the coroner's report, and I'm like pulling it up really quick to see like what they officially said her cause of death was. It's taking forever to load. So when I was looking at like the timeline kind of like the day that she died and like the week of, it's hard to find stuff because there's so many different sources to look at. But
yeah,
so the day before, she was at the girl who was in the X Factor thing. What was her name? Or maybe it's a guy. I don't know. Stacy Francis apparently had like, I don't know. It says clash, but does that mean an argument, a disagreement, a fight? I don't know. But they had some kind of issue right before she died, and her 19-year-old daughter and her had performed like a duet a couple of days before, or like the day before, something like that. So there was weird stuff happening. So like she was still living her best life. Her daughter was still alive. They were doing stuff. And then boop, dead after a fight. So like, see, there's always something weird that's coming before their deaths. It's not like they just like went out, had some drinks with friends, went home, and then accidentally died. It's like they were in a fight with someone. They were doing this. They were doing this. Oh, literally, it's pulling up an actual copy of the.
Oh, damn.
Of the. I know. I thought it was gonna be like a list of things, but no, it's an actual, like, this looks in depth. Okay, so it says that the case report says accidental death. It shows like her address. It was on February 11th, 2012. It's not sealed. According to the reported information, the 48-year-old black female with a medical history of using narcotic substances was last seen alive on Saturday between 14:45 and 1500 hours by her personal assistant. She complained of having a sore throat, but she had been complaining of that for the past few days. The assistant told her to take a bath to start getting ready for tonight. The assistant then left the room to run some errands. At approximately 15:35, the assistant returned and used her key to enter the locked and secured room. Once inside, she found her lying face down in the bathtub filled with water, unresponsive. The assistant called for her bodyguard, and together they pulled her out of the water, or out of the bathtub. The assistant called downstairs to call 911. 911 was called about 10 minutes later. Officers came from the Beverly Hills Police Department and paramedics and arrived on scene. It just says they determined that she was dead, possibly overdosed on narcotic substances, prescription medication, over-the-counter medication, and alcohol. Minor external trauma was noted, and there are no signs of foul play. But it does say there was external trauma. What does that mean? Like,
exactly. Does that mean like did she have a black eye? Does that mean like bruising on the neck? You know?
That was like that's like the initial police report, like what they found right when they got there, and there's like a few pages.
Okay, so let me add to like that, right?
Okay, yeah, add to
that. They find her dead, right? They called the cops, all this, right? You know how you said in your police report the assistant like told her to get ready, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was gonna get ready to go perform at this guy's party, the Clive Davis, her manager or whatever, her like the main guy of her record label. So what like the conspiracy theory is that like he sacrificed her because he knew that she was worth more dead than alive, in a similar situation as Michael Jackson, where her songs are worth millions because even to these days they're still getting played. And like, how do I say? I mean, you cut out. Let's just say he's the middleman in that situation. You cut out the person and stop becoming the middleman, and you start getting all the money. I mean, again, that's where it gets weird. The thing. Let me add to what we were saying. Like her dying and all this stuff, right? This was like big news.
Yeah,
he didn't stop the party, bro. He continued the party regardless of her dying, right? He said that, you know, she was his daughter. Like Clive Davis like said all this shit about Whitney Houston, like, you know, that he loved her, like all this stuff. But like the day she died, he was partying. Like he even said, like in an interview, like they were questioning, like, why did you party instead of like, you know, mourn or something? And he said, like, you know, Whitney said that she would have wanted me to continue the party, or like, you know, let the party go on.
Yeah.
And she had a friend named Shaka Khan, which is I think another singer, basically saying like, you know, Whitney Houston would never, she would stop everything and handle the situation. Like that's not how she rolled. Basically saying that he was just lying.
And so here it also says that when they came into the bathroom, that she was like face down in the water, but that there was water all over the bathroom floor too. However, the water wasn't running. So
what? What does that even mean?
Yeah, so it says like the bathtub was full of water, and then there was water all over the bathroom floor, but that the like faucet wasn't on anymore. So why was there so much water all over the floor too? Like, is that a sign of struggle? Like, was she drowned? I don't know. We'll keep reading and see if it shows that there was water like in her lungs, or was she already unconscious? Yeah, it says that the water temperature of the bathtub was 93.5 degrees. I don't know why I read that, but she was. Go ahead.
So like I was saying, like he threw all this party, and then well now recently he made a whole new, like they made a whole new like a whole new show or whatever, and this guy, like Clive Davis, basically paid for everything because he has a bad name. Like he's basically, they blame him for her death too.
Yeah.
Just from overworking. And you know how I told you like at the beginning that that Whitney Houston had a daughter.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's about 2 years after Whitney died. The daughter was found face down in a bathtub. Same situation as the mom.
Really? I didn't know that.
Similar fashion. You can, like I said, you can look up her stuff too, because it's like, how did she die the same way as her mom? Like it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that is weird, dude. That doesn't make sense at all. I didn't know that that's how she passed away. I'm still like reading more about what they found when they actually came into the room. I wish I had found this before, because this is like actual copies of the paperwork that are like public record.
Yeah.
So it shows that like when they got there, there was a open bottle of champagne. So not an empty one, but an open one. So like those type of words are important because it wasn't empty. There was all like her prescription medications were there. And then it says like blister packs of medication, a loose tablet of something. It doesn't say of what. A capsule, an open can of beer. So it's not like there was, at this part at least, it's not like there was like bottles of vodka and like heroin all over the place. So this is interesting. And then one of the police officers stated that her ID, like when he arrived on scene finally, that there was like her prescription bottles were still sitting out, and like her ID had already been removed from her wallet and stuff. So like people were already looking at things when they weren't supposed to before he got there.
Yeah.
And he did like state that in the carpet in the bedroom was soaked with water. Is this the same day? Like this is like a different story in the coroner's report about her. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because it's like, how do I say, you know, you get portrayed one story and then there's a whole another story just written right here.
Yeah, like this is what the police are actually saying. It above says like the carpet in the bedroom was soaked with water. Why is the carpet in the bedroom soaked with water and the bathroom floor, but the water's not running? Like it just makes no sense. Who turned the water off?
Who turned the water off? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like what the hell? Yeah, this is interesting, dude. I've never actually like read into her death. I just knew it was sus. So it just keeps getting worse and worse.
Because okay, so I'll tell you like the only reason I remember this vividly is because when I was younger, I remember when she died. it was all like all over the TV, and I remember there was like a couple people that they interviewed randomly, and they even said like, oh, I heard like people were fumbling around, or like, how do I say, like wrestling in the room like the night before she died.
Hmm.
And then like there was another thing. She had she had another famous friend. A couple like 3 or 4 days before she died. She interrupted an interview where her friend Clive Davis and then someone else were like on the Today Show or something like that.
Yeah.
And you could clearly see just like Whitney, like she's on something, you know, she's on one, if you could say. And then rolls up, says hi to them, and then just like gives her a note. And then the note says like, "Be careful with Clive Davis. He's dangerous." Like,
well, look
and
at
then
this.
She died. She died a couple days later. Like, oh god.
Yeah, that's suspicious. So this says here in the coroner's report, it says, and this might be like the police report and like whatever all combined, because this is like multiple pages. I think it's like 22 pages, and I'm only on page 3. Dude, that's the crazy part. So it says, and I'm gonna read the whole little paragraph. It's kind of long, but the bathroom was located in the northeast portion of the room. Located along the north wall, central portion was a bathtub. There was approximately 12 inches of water in the short end and approximately 13 in the deep end. So that's only this much, dude. So this is interesting to me. Yeah, in the bathtub was a towel, a bottle of rubbing alcohol, and a pitcher. Located in the north wall, northeast portion was the toilet stall. Located along the east wall was a counter with a sink and drawers below. Located on the counter in front of the sink was an ashtray filled with multiple cigarette butts. Located on the south portion was a small spoon with a white crystal-like substance in it and a rolled-up piece of white paper, along with other miscellaneous items. Located on the north portion of the counter was a bottle of prescription medications and a ripped open small plastic bag, along with other miscellaneous items. Located in the top drawer of the counter were remnants of a white powdery substance and a portable mirror on a base. On the bottom of that base were more remnants of a white powdery substance. Located on the south wall to the entrance of the bedroom, some clothes on a chair, and a blanket on the floor next to it. Located in the west wall was a door leading to the shower. The bathroom floor was covered with water. How does that even make sense? If there was only this much water in the tub, why would the carpet out in the hotel and the bathroom floor be covered in water, but only 12 inches of water in the tub?
Unless, you know, they were fighting in the bathtub.
Exactly. Was someone trying to drown her in the tub and she was fighting back? Because,
which is probably... It's probably what ended up happening, you know? They always sneak into those hotel rooms and...
Yeah. And then it just says no foul play was, like, assumed and all of this stuff. Ooh, this portion's missing.
Because it's probably the portion that says, like, she was bruised here, she was beat up here.
Exactly. Oh, wait, here's more. Dude, no, so there was a lot of drugs in there, but, like, that immediately, if I was there, the water being all over the place would have been your first suspicious thing, right?
Yeah,
like,
for
especially
sure.
Why is it in the room?
The first giveaway.
Yeah, it also says a rape kit on her, cut her fingernails to make sure that she hadn't been like scratching people. There is an old healed scar. Oh, here's the part. Here's where they're examining her body. So this is gonna get real interesting. She was nude. The top of her head was facing south. Her right arm was bent at the elbow.
It's like she was nude and she was thick. No, I'm just kidding.
Wait a second. It says her right arm was bent at the elbow with her right hand resting on the floor against the right central portion of her torso.
So like bent back, basically?
I guess. Well, I don't know. I'm trying to like... Her left arm was slightly bent at the elbow with her left hand resting on the floor against her upper left thigh. Both of her legs were straight, with her right foot pointing north and her left foot pointing northwest. There was a defibrillator patch on her upper right side of her chest. Oh, this is like when the cop got there, I guess, already to do this exam. Both of her eyes were congested and there was bloody purge coming out of her nose. There were 2 superficial abrasions to the left side of her forehead.
You said something coming out of her nose?
Blood. It says
Oh,
both of her eyes were congested, which I assume means cloudy. And there was bloody purge coming out from her nose. There were two
doesn't that happen?
sorry, what?
Doesn't that happen when you choke someone?
Yeah, it can also happen when like people die from drug overdoses though and stuff, like depending on like what kind
Oh,
of drug it is, because it makes your blood really thin and it really depends. So it could have also been from like them doing CPR and like anything else that they did. There were two superficial abrasions to the left side of her forehead, and there was a superficial abrasion to the left side of the bridge of her nose. So there was basically cuts. There was superficial abrasion to the top of her right shoulder. There was minor skin slippage to the upper central portion of her chest, to the inner left central portion of her chest, and to the lower central portion of her chest. Okay, so what the hell? She literally had like cuts and scrapes and stuff. The superficial abrasion to her outer left arm. There was an old puncture wound on her
almost
inner
like
left elbow.
she was fighting for like their defensive wounds, no?
Yeah. It says there were minor abrasions to the top of her left hand, between the middle and ring fingers. There were minor skin slippage. What's a skin slippage? Can you look that up? There
Like
was minor skin
when it's
slippage.
when it's pulled.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, there was minor skin slippage to the front of both of her knees and to both of the front of her legs.
Okay,
So when
so that
she
like
drug on the floor.
yeah, like when you're dragging on the floor,
Oh my god.
like
What the hell?
carpet burn. That's basically
Yeah.
what that is.
Okay. What the fuck? Okay, so I'm just like reading this, and then they're like, "Yeah, dude, but it was an accident."
Yeah, but like she died normally, bro. It's fine.
And like,
It's fine.
you guys, I'm not making this up. I'm not reading this from some sketch website. I have an actual copy of the final coroner's report with like the police reports in here, the toxicology testing, and then the very final page is like no foul play is suspected. How would you not
Who they pay?
suspect
Who
foul
paid these
play?
cops, bro? Who paid these cops?
Someone paid them, and apparently really good, because that makes no fucking sense to me. It shows what kind of medications they found in there. So a lot of Xanax, some amoxicillin. So they literally found antibiotics, some Xanax. I don't know what that top one is. Acifec effects. I'm not sure. Dexamethasone. So that's just a steroid, just kind of like prednisone. So that's for like inflammatory stuff. So okay, the Xanax isn't too good, but like,
Yeah,
and then they
her
found
doctor from LA, dude. Nice.
right. So they did find like white powdery substances, but it doesn't say what it was on this report. Anyways, they found ibuprofen.
But everyone knows it was cocaine. I just
Look, they found ibuprofen, Midol, Mucinex, and Benadryl.
Damn, bro. Was it
Remember,
allergy season or what?
she was complaining of the sore throat. Remember?
Oh.
They also found minocycline, which is just another antibiotic. Nystatin, which is, I think, an antibiotic. I thought it was a cream though. Take 2 spoonfuls, or maybe it's a liquid. I don't know what that is exactly. Then prednisone and more Xanax. So interesting. So maybe the white powdery stuff was the Xanax that she was crushing up.
Just crushing up and snorting it, dog.
This one says, so this is when the people actually got there, like the police, and did like their exam on the body. It shows that like they pulled her out and she was laying on the living room floor. Yeah.
Like,
so the official cause of death was drowning caused by heart disease and cocaine mixture, is what it says.
so what? She had a heart attack and then she was like, "Ah!" and just down in the water.
So. Yeah, I guess.
But all the cuts on her body, all the scrapes, all the pulled back
How does that make
skin,
sense?
and then all the floor is all wet. Well, look, like just we just talked about all that water and shit and all this. She could have been having like a stroke, because I said heart disease, but I was like, like a stroke, and then she's just like tumbling around,
Yeah. Well, it's showing that she has like she had all this heart swelling and stuff like that. But it shows she had a cut on her upper left lip. This is like when the guy examined her body before they put her like in the bag. She had a contusion and an abrasion on her forehead, a scald burn on her chest, abrasions on her left hand, abrasions on her lower right leg, and then a cut on her lip. Oh, look, there's more. She had a cut on her chest. Oh, this one says she had a resuscitative bruise on her chest because they were trying to like give her CPR and stuff.
Okay. See, that one's explained.
that one can be explained. You can read this for yourself. It's 22 pages. It's a lot, but I don't understand, I guess, why they wouldn't have checked for more foul play unless they were paid off. And then Bobby Brown, her ex-husband, said Nick Gordon was like the guy who was like giving them drugs a lot. He said that he blames him for basically murdering not only his daughter but Whitney Houston as well, because he was supplying them with all this stuff. Golly.
Yeehaw, brother.